Hey y'all, it's Erin from the Underground Railroad. You are tuning in to another great show on the Four Eyed Radio Network. To listen to more of this show and other great shows, tune into www.foureyedradio.com.
That's right, kids. This is your good pal Steve-O from 4i Radio Network. I'm here to talk about a great person. Now, think about it. Who are you going to call when your logo looks like shit? You want a kick-ass logo. You want people to see your logo and go, you know what? That's an awesome logo. I wonder who did that logo. Well, I'll tell you who could do your logos for you. Check out Raven Designs. Special care of your work. Special inquiries, check her out. She's got everything. RavenCruise.com is the place to go because you want a kick-ass logo. You want to stand above the rest. I guarantee it. You hear this song in the background, you know these guys have a kick-ass logo. It's a recognizable logo, and I guarantee it if Raven was back in that time period, she probably would have made it for them. And they would have been like, hells yeah, people know who we are because we got Raven Designs behind us. Check out RavenCruise.com if you want a kick-ass logo for business cards. Maybe you want to put it on a car. These guys did. Maybe you want to put it on your building. You want something kick-ass. You want something that people can see and just go, this is awesome. Check out RavenCruise.com. And you know what? Do it. Do it right now. You got nothing else going on for you right now. Get a kick-ass logo. Check out her artwork, RavenCruise.com.
Hello and welcome to an all-new episode of the Long Box Cast featured on the Four Eyed Radio Network. I am here, Kyle, and also my co-host Steve is here.
Yes, Steve-O as well. And we also have two guests in the studio. Kyle was able to hook that up.
We have Ryan Cody, owner and operator of Super 75 Comics. Go ahead and if you want to say hello.
Hello.
And we also have Jason Gonzalez, a.k.a. Jay Gonzo, artist and illustrator, Slayer of Men from his web comics. One of my favorites of yours so far that I've liked is the La Mano del Destino.
Yep. It's
very awesome. I'm liking that. And we're here because we're actually supporting the Acme Arizona Comic Mini Expo 2014, which is coming down the pike soon. And we have been lucky enough to have these gentlemen come on down and talk to us on this show. So welcome, guys. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, one of you traveled far, didn't they?
Very far.
Yeah, well, not that far.
I'm like East Mesa, man. That's really far.
Yeah.
Yeah, I live in Flagstaff, so I just down the mountain.
Very cool.
Wow.
Very cool. Well, we appreciate you guys coming out, and so yeah, let's do this.
Jump right on in.
Jump right into the
if you want, before we start, we got some shout outs this week. Had at Social in Phoenix, at Felicia, looks like Used T 745, at Adam Stabelli, at Anita692 Anita, and at CG Expo for giving us a like and follow on our socials. So we appreciate you guys doing so. As always, we are brought to you by the Four Eyed Radio Network for listening to all our shows from Stitcher, iTunes, Zune Marketplace, Mixcloud, BlackBerry, Blueberry Podcast, Miro Guide, Double Twist. Simply click on our links and enjoy.
And also you can subscribe on iTunes. So
I guess
make it
so,
easy for you guys.
And then, of course, we are sponsored by Raven Designs, illustration and designs to fit your personality. For samples and inquiries, visit ravencruise.com and enjoy. So
That's probably okay.
Yeah.
Okay. There we go.
Exactly.
Yeah, she actually just designed our new logo for the 4i Radio Network.
Oh,
And
cool,
We
cool.
threw those on shirts. It looks really like Eric showed me, and I was just all like, "Oh, I'm so glad."
She does really good work. She seems to be doing really well in California.
Yeah, she is. Yeah, I get
her
like
new setup too. Like she
Yeah.
had that new, even brand new like
Oh yeah, the
map.
trash can.
Yeah. I'm just like, geez, like they really hooked you up pretty nice there.
Yeah, I'm half tempted to call her up and be like, "So where are you working?"
Yeah,
maybe
no.
they need more illustrators.
Yeah.
but
so that's pretty cool.
yeah.
So, yeah, Kyle, you
I got
set-
nothing.
you
I didn't
set-
put
you-
any notes in.
You
No.
set this up, so
Yeah, basically introduce yourself, guys. Let us know what you guys are about. I know we were talking a bit on the Facebook, and I imagine they can find out more going to Facebook, or do you guys prefer the web domein for them to find out all the info?
Well, the Arizona Comic Mini Expo has a Facebook page. It's facebook.com AcmeCon, and then there's also the website, which is www.acmecon.wordpress.com, I think. That's horrible.
I think if you just Google search
If you
Arizona
just Google
Comics
search
Mini
Arizona
Expo.
Comic Mini Expo, then the Facebook page and the the blog will come up.
And
Yeah,
the blog has
right.
links to all the social media
Right.
stuff, too.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, acmecon.wordpress.com.
Yep.
Yeah, it looks like it came right first look, and then of course second one is the Facebook, so you guys are right on there.
Right. So yeah, my name's Ryan Cody. I'm a writer and artist, comic book writer and comic book artist, and I also organize the Arizona Comic Mini Expo. This year it's May 3rd at Samurai Comics in Mesa.
Cool.
Very
and,
nice.
and Bookman's.
Oh, cool. So you guys
Okay,
get,
yeah.
like, cross.
Yeah, should be guests at both stores. If not, they'll all be at Samurai. But
Sweet.
And
Right
we'll be
now,
in the
we're just
parking
going-
lot in a window with blackout van. Van with blackout
Windows.
Wow.
There
To
you
be
go.
fair, that describes like 10 cars
I
in
know.
that parking lot.
yeah.
We'll be the one that is cleaner, I think. We'll have a shinier white car.
Yeah.
You guys will be
that'll
out front of the Bosa probably getting some donuts.
That's
Probably,
true. Yeah,
yeah.
that place is awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where we'll be.
Oh, yeah, I'm Jay Gonzo, artist, writer of La Mano del Destino. I'm also this year, I was a guest last year at Acme, and then
Oh, sweet.
This year I'm helping to organize the drink and draw event that we have going on beforehand, the night before at
Yes.
the Film Bar has been gracious enough to have us host us there.
Oh,
So-
very cool.
Ah, sweet.
So we're gonna have, whatever artist can make it out to drink and draw. We're gonna have some artwork from the artist up at the show. So
Very
definitely
cool.
should be a good time. There's still talk about maybe doing some film tie-in, but they're pretty booked on their schedule, so they don't know what they can or can't fit in. But at the very least, all the artists will be there drinking and drawing. It's a great place to have a drink, and it's a great place to see a movie if anyone hasn't been to the film.
Yeah,
bar.
Okay, great.
I actually saw. Was it the room there?
Yeah. Oh, nice.
Oh, yeah, that place is great.
So that was fun.
Yeah,
I saw.
the whole month of May we'll have there'll be artwork hanging up in the bar.
Oh,
Oh,
cool.
Film bar.
And obviously the proceeds go to the artist, or they go into like a
Yeah, the
charity?
artist, just
Okay,
the
great.
artist.
Perfect. So
Yeah, it
if
is
you
a
wanna
charity
support-
for them to
if you
not
want to
be
support
starving artists.
Well, yeah, exactly. So if you want to support the local artists and such, great. I think that's awesome.
That's very cool. I'm trying to think what else was there. So I guess the biggest question is what got you into either reading comics and then decided, you know what, I want to make a career out of this?
For me, I read comics. I just started picking them up at like the grocery stores stuff when I was a kid, and then I really got hooked on like Chris Claremont's X-Men run, and
Oh, nice.
when Excalibur started, I was really big on that. And then as I got older, when Image first started, that like a lot of guys my age, we wanted to draw comics because those guys, Jim Lee and Mark Silvestri.
Yeah.
For me, even like Rob Liefeld, like when I was a little kid, that shit blew my mind. So that's why I wanted to be an artist.
Very nice. How about yourself?
Oh yeah, I've always been drawing since I was a kid, and when I was younger, I grew up in L.A. Well, actually, just on the Orange County side of L.A. But my grandparents lived in L.A. in Pico Rivera actually. And so when I was a kid, the Sunday comics were in Orange County were kind of your typical Garfield and Bloom County, what have you. But at the L.A. Register had Spider-Man, the weekly Spider-Man strip. And I used to go to my grandparents, and my grandparents would cut out the Spider-Man strip because they knew I loved it, and it was just such a huge departure from the really cartoony stuff that you saw in the typical newspaper strips. And I just fell in love with Spider-Man, fell in love with that art style, and then somewhere around like 9 or 10, I was skateboarding around with a friend of mine, and we stopped at a 7-Eleven to get something to drink, and there was a spinner rack, and he was like, "Oh, I got to get my G.I. Joe," and he just pulls off like G.I. Joe, I think like 13 or something, and I just remember thumbing through it and just seeing page after page, panel after panel of this art style I loved from Spider-Man. I'm like, "Oh shit, they make these
Yeah,
things."
like, there's other things too.
These things happen, and then I was like, "Oh, people do this still. Like this is a job. I can do this," and I'm like, "I can draw. I love this style. Like this is what I want to do." So somewhere around like 9 or 10, I just decided that's what I wanted to do. Yeah,
that is awesome.
Took a lot of detours, but
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that most comic artists do that. Like even Todd McFarlane said that when he was up in Canada, he started with just like drawing a hand and then the arm and then connecting them and sending like millions and millions and millions of things out to like Marvel, and then eventually they finally said, "Okay, enough. Quit sending this stuff."
I worked for Todd for like 4 years.
Oh, very
nice.
He was my direct boss and everything. Yeah, so he's
nice.
and I one of the things I did while I was there is we curated a museum show for him.
Oh,
And
sweet.
one of the things that we showed was the pile of rejection letters that he had. It's a pretty substantial box too,
Yeah, you're
but
just like,
you gotta admire a guy who takes that much rejection and just is
keeps
like, I'm gonna
going.
do better the next time.
No, yeah.
Yeah, I've been a huge fan of Spawn. Like for me, I think Steve and I were the same. We went to like the Safeway and they have the spinner rack. And we started off with like the Donald Ducks and the Goofies and
Yeah.
Disney like Tales books were what we started off with, and then grew up from there.
Yeah,
with
and then
just
went
all
into like the X-Men, the Marvel. I think the Marvel was the big influence because during that time, I think it was like 1991 when they decided to do the trading cards of Marvel, and that became like ridiculous because then it was like, I got to get the hologram, I got to get this, I got to get that. So and it was really kind of cool because then you can flip over the cards and there'd be like all their stats and everything. And I just loved it. It was funny because like Spider-Man, like his intelligence was like off the charts, but then like his strength, it's all like, he's like, well, he's smarter than Wolverine, but not as powerful. But
yeah, like
yeah, when I started grabbing comics, it was right when the Ohatmu was coming out. They were on
nice.
C when I started collecting comics, and so I could find back issues of A and B.
Oh,
and then
cool.
I bought all those, and they had the power chart in the background in the last page.
Okay, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah,
people ranked. Yeah.
awesome. I
That's
remember
very
that.
cool. Yeah, actually, it was like I used to go to the Todd McFarlane store, actually not too far from
Yeah,
here.
the one.
And I would get like I went in actually one time, and I guess he just came back from doing something, and he had a whole bunch of their figures just like signed. So I have like a whole bunch of Corpse Brides like toys
nice.
just like signed.
Nice.
So I was just like, yeah, I've always been a huge fan of his stuff because he was smart when it came to his like when his action figures first came out, they were just like action figures, and then now he's like, no, they're kind of like a statue, kind of set them up and all that kind of cool stuff.
Oh yeah.
So.
Yeah, I grew up. Yeah, 7th grade I think is when I was really into the Spawn, and I really loved like drawing his style and like everything. And I got to meet him once at a Toys R Us signing, like same thing. He was just there signing, and then I met him again at the Comic-Con that one year he was here. And what was awesome is like he had stayed like all the way till the end. Like literally was like walking out the door, still signing stuff for people.
Oh yeah, he's a madman when it comes to that stuff. I've
was
seen him go
insane.
3 hours past when we said we were closing down. You know?
That's crazy.
Yeah.
And as one of his employees, I got to stay the 3 hours past.
You're like, thanks a lot.
Yeah.
Overtime.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's got. It was funny though because we did his comic, like he was showing us how to draw and stuff like that on one of the panels, and it was so disappointing because he was like, "Oh, so who do you want me to draw?" And everyone raised their hand, and they're like, "Spawn." I was all like, "Really? Pick like Venom?
Yeah, do
that would have been
something,
like
wicked,
really cool
yeah.
to see because like you kind of created that." So
Yeah. I love watching him work too. Like that was one of the bigger highlights because he'd take a meeting and he'd be inking over Greg Capullo in a meeting.
Oh yeah.
And not only is he kicking ass on the drawing part of it, but he's listening to every word that was
Yeah,
happening.
that's
So
really
you think like, oh, he's just in his little world.
Yeah,
he's,
yeah,
like,
no,
chiming in.
yeah.
Oh man,
That's cool.
He's all there. So enough Todd talks.
Yeah, no.
Get out of here. It's not about you.
Ryan's just like nodding his head, like, eh.
Yeah,
No,
Todd's
I'm
okay.
fine. I'm good.
Well, who's one of you guys' favorite artists that if you got a chance to like work for him or meet him or be him or like wear his skin, like who would it be? I'm just saying, like they could be.
Right now, I think one of my dream project would be probably working with Mike Mignola in the BPRD.
Oh,
books.
nice. Yeah.
Just to be one of those guys who's in the rotation that gets to draw a miniseries like once or twice a year.
I could see you in that world, man. Like you do that well. I could definitely. Have you reached out to him or tried to talk to anyone at Dark
No,
Horse?
I did some work for Dark Horse last year, so I'm gonna slowly try to keep pushing.
Very cool.
Nice. Just get it out there, get the foot in the door.
Yeah, that's
nice.
really the only. As far as I mean, of course, I would like to like someday do like an X-Men book, but not. I don't know if I'd like to do like the main monthly X-Men book. It'd be fun to do like a graphic novel or something.
Oh,
No, that'd be cool.
But yeah, as far as big two companies, I really don't have much desire. Other than like a work for hire thing, I'll do anything they want to pay me to work on. But
Right.
Like
Oh, very
dream,
cool.
dream books would be like BPRD.
Nice. Okay,
That-
yeah, that's
that's
one of
cool.
my favorites.
Art wise, I think the guy I'll just buy anything that he does is Darwin Cook right now.
Oh, yeah.
Influence wise, like Jack Kirby. I mean, anyone who's seen my comic, I mean, like
very
I've had
much
people
so.
come at me sideways asking me about who my influences are. Like I'm not gonna say Jack, but I mean, if you've seen my work, you know I love Jack Kirby.
Yeah.
Like my work is a love letter to Jack. But currently I love Darwin Cook. Like he pretty much just puts down what needs to be down and leaves everything else out and stuff. But
And they're interested, if our listeners are interested, it's jgonzodesigns.com.
that's my that's me selling me as an artist essentially.
Okay.
My comic site is castleandkeypublications.com.
Castle and Key Publications.
And that's where you can read the 3 issues of Lamano that I've done so far are there for free, and they've got links to my social media and to my my store and stuff. Like I currently am out of issue 2s, but when issue 4 happens, I'm going to reprint 2. So,
Okay.
but you can get issue 1 and issue 3, and you can read 2 online, and then I've got other shameless self-promotion stuff I can plug here. So.
Oh yeah, go right
yeah,
ahead.
definitely.
Plug away.
Whatever you're working on,
But-
whatever you're doing, yeah.
Yeah, and then the thing like Ryan was talking about dream project wise, man. Like I think my dream would be to work on Spider-Man someday. I mean, he's what got me into comics. I have a weird superstition about it where I don't really draw Spider-Man.
Okay.
Like I don't want to do it until it's like for
Like
real.
until they're like, hey,
Yeah,
by the
yeah,
way,
we'd
like
you to do Spider-Man, which is weird because I have no idea what I'd do with Spider-Man. But I also like the idea of doing like a C-level character at one of the big 2. Like I put a Buona Beach pitch together a while ago where where he was this like a luchador in Mexico.
When you say sea level, I was like, oh, like Namor.
No.
Yeah.
Like I'm thinking like D level maybe. Yeah. So I mean, like I love the idea of like doing, like I have this Buena Beast idea that I had where he was like a luchador who may or may not just be like believing his own backstory. Like is he really a superpowered hero, or is he just a crazy wrestler who's buying his own story?
That's what we really liked about the Justice League saga they did a while back with Wildcat.
Yeah.
Where he was like underground fighting because it was just the only way he could make a buck was like him being an underground fighter. We thought that was like I would love to see something more like that, like you said, like someone coming up.
Yeah, because he was talking about like in that episode, he was all like, he's like, you already have all these big superheroes. It's like you don't need somebody like me. It's like, and then all I get is this kind of like grunt work. So he's like, for me to feel alive is beating the crap out of these supervillains, at this arena thing.
Yeah, getting
it's kind of cool.
Yeah, my pitch was that kind of thing where it was like he's living on, like he's in Mexico, he's handling kind of like real, just guys fucking up the environment kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
Like not, it's no world ending. I think stakes in superhero comics have gotten a little out of hand. Like
where
it's always the world's gonna end.
Yeah, like the planet's about to blow up.
How about just my neighborhood's gonna get fucked
up?
I need
Exactly.
to stop
the
that.
Forest fire.
Yeah,
like
exactly.
Pollutants, water levels and stuff.
And that's the kind of thing that I'd like to kind of back down the stakes, because we've gotten to world destruction and rape and murder, and it's like just get into like a big corporation,
the basic stuff. Big corporation coming in and taking out all
that's sort of like an A-Team episode, It's like
exactly
swoop in, we got to keep the big bad guy from ruining this town. So I mean I like the idea of doing like stuff that's take the Challengers of the Unknown or something and just do like a nice kind of ground level story with those things, and so that's like my dream gig.
Awesome,
that's cool.
I'm looking forward to that. Like I think that'd be pretty slick. Like I agree too. I feel like sometimes like Denny O'Neil's talking about like with Superman, like it got way out of hand where like a guy who could blow out a star, how do you make him vulnerable and how do you have that like conflict? And it is hard. Like it's hard to relate to somebody who can do that, where like that's why I think like the Batman and obviously some like more named characters got bigger, because it was like, oh, he's relatable. Like I can actually like see where he's coming from and stuff.
Yeah, and he's not really like, it's not always like, oh, Batman's gonna save the Earth,
Yeah,
it's like he's just like, I'm just sticking with Gotham right now.
Yeah, I'm in here. Like you guys go handle that. Any favorite character you guys have like followed from like obviously when you started collecting up till now, or once you always come back to? Like what are some of your go-to characters you like?
I'm terrible in the fact that I don't really buy comics.
You create them. You are a master. You are a god.
I mean, when I was reading comics regularly, I mean there was like a 20-year span where I bought like X-Men monthly for like 20 years. But right now, I just tend to follow creators more than characters.
Okay.
So, like, depending on who's drawn an arc or who's drawn a miniseries, I'll pick it up regardless of
what
the
it is,
company or the character.
Oh,
yeah.
Nice.
So that's what I do.
Yeah, I'm about the same boat. Like I'll buy anything that like Trad Moore draws. Like I'm on board. Like I don't care what it is. Like I'm reading this. I'm gonna go get that
My
Ghost
Little
Rider.
Pony.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Tom Scholey's another guy. I'm just gonna buy whatever he does.
Nice.
And
I can't wait for the Alan Moore's run at the My Little Pony storyline.
Yeah. That really it is a dark horse.
Yeah.
Awesome. Yeah, I think for us, like I think anything that they're doing right now with like Denny O'Neil mainly, because he's picking back up on some writings and stuff. Like I like a lot of his work. I'm definitely getting more back into writers. Like I love artists through and through, but I'm not getting back into like more of the writing again.
Yeah,
because a lot of that's just come like full circle, where it used to be very cheesy but really awesome art, and now you're kind of getting back to more of a better art style, but like a really good story, and that's what I think is really selling them now.
I think it got very editor heavy for a while. It was about the crossover. It was about the guys who ran like the Bat Group or the Justice League group, and those guys who can tie in their 19 books into each other and just make the storyline kind of cohesive across a bunch of titles, which is an editor's job. And so writers weren't allowed to do their job. It's hard to ask a writer to, okay, you got to tell a story, but we need you to start here. We need this to happen in the middle, and then we need you to end here.
Right.
Like how much work?
Want to write.
Yeah, exactly. How much playroom do you have? And there's guys who do it better than others, but I think that Marvel especially has really loosened up on their like just make sure you don't fuck these areas up, and you can do whatever you want. So you get like Wade coming in on Daredevil and just hitting reset on the character and just saying, look, we're going to acknowledge all that dark, shitty stuff that Bendis foisted upon him for the past 10, 15 years. It acknowledged that it happened and just say, yeah, it was crap. And I mean, like, I think it was super dismissive.
Right.
I thought, which is a great power move. Is like, yeah, that was all shitty, and I'm not going to focus on it. Which everyone had been so slavishly devoted, like to what Miller had done with the character, that they were just trying to extend that out into the future, which is unsustainable. You can't just continue to get grittier and grittier. I mean, especially not after his girlfriend's like raped and murdered and stuff. It's like,
like where do you go from there?
Yeah, exactly. Like what happens other than him having to go to prison and now he gets raped and
exactly.
it's
something else.
That's what I think Marvel's doing right.
Well, I didn't see it coming though, so
yeah, literally.
Yeah,
That's what I think Marvel's doing right with the way that they're rebooting the books. It's not like ridiculous like with what DC did.
I was just going to ask
sort
what
of
people's
Marvel is
opinion
just
was.
sort of like, we're just going to relaunch X-Men with Stuart Immonen on it. It's going to be the best superhero book on the stands, and we're just going to really not even acknowledge the last 30 years.
right.
You don't have to. I mean, you don't have to ignore it, and you don't have to acknowledge it, and you also don't have to it doesn't have to be a complete brand new reboot. Just start your story and tell your story.
Right, and everyone
And
else
who
will
gives
kind
a
of
shit?
fill in.
Yeah, who gives a shit what happens? Like, so that's why I like with the Daredevil book and the X-Men book.
Actually, that's what I was going to ask you guys, because I've been trying to, I got back into, DC, doing the new 52s and stuff like that, and I kind of just went closer to home. I was like, well, I'm a huge Batman fan, so let's stick with that. But then I started branching out. I really got into the Flash now. I like what they're doing with that one. But I was like, I want to get back into Marvel again. I do have some Marvel books, but they're a while ago. I'm like, what would be a good jumping on part for a Marvel? I'm like, I haven't been in it in a while, so I have no idea what's happening. What would be a good starter book?
If you grew up liking the X-Men, I would say All New X-Men is great.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the reasons I was so happy to get Stewart to come out for Acme, is just that I think hands down he's the best superhero artist working. I mean, Chris Samney's great. I guess I don't consider Daredevil that much of a superhero. I guess it is a superhero book, but I'm talking about epic scale shit. I think Stuart Immonen's the best working right now, and that's a fun book.
Okay, cool. I'll have to check that out then.
Yeah, I can't recommend Daredevil enough.
Yeah.
I mean, they just finished that 30-issue run or 32-issue run, whatever it was, and then now they're moving him to San Francisco, kind of restarting the book, but they're continuing the storyline, which I don't, things like continuity and numbering, I think kind of trip up comics more than they help them.
Yeah.
Again, like Ryan was just saying, just tell your story. I think you get guys like Loeb, who love that they have this encyclopedic knowledge of the past 75 years of their character's
So they can
history.
just draw from whatever.
But that, and I've heard this said a lot, but that tethers, when you have continuity like that, and events especially, it tethers your best art or your best writers to your worst writers.
Yeah.
Because now they have to acknowledge that things, like in Marvel, you have to acknowledge that things like the Clone Saga happened.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's just move forward. We all have shitty stuff that happened in our lives that we just never talk about.
Yeah,
True,
no.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true.
Just
Yeah.
block it out.
Yeah, exactly. So,
That
yeah.
never happened.
So why can't comics do the same?
It's true, yeah. Especially during the whole Superman saga, they did that whole the 70s where he got very campy.
Yeah.
And it was even Lois became almost like a raging bitch to the point where it's well, why would he love her? This doesn't make any sense. Why is he oh, Lois, I can't upset
Well,
you.
it's DC now. They're doing that whole 1960s Batman run coming up soon, where it's the old artwork and old stuff from the show, which I was like, oh, that's kind of cool.
It's a really good. That's a great book. I think Allred does the covers, and I forget who's doing the interiors, but it's fun because they just tell Batman stories.
Yeah,
and the stakes aren't. They're not out of hand.
It's not like
dark.
he's not on the rooftop about to jump on a pit of bad guys and start wailing.
Instead,
it's more
me and Robin will drive to the Burger King.
It was Mike Allred did a solo for DC, which was those books where one artist did the entirety of the book, and they just told a bunch of stories. It was 2004.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them. Darwin Cook did one and stuff, but the Mike Allred one is fantastic, which I love Allred's work as well too. But he did a Batman story in there, and it kind of starts off as this 60s Batman. And then the storyline starts progressing into what's more of a Frank Miller tone.
Oh wow!
But it's still drawn by Allred, so it's got that kind of 60s feel to it. And you see Batman is the focal point, I guess your entry point, and you see how appalled he is by things like people getting murdered and stuff like that. And it's a great commentary on that kind of darkening up of comics while having this kind of fresh-eyed character as a protagonist, and then it ultimately wraps up really well. I mean, at one point, Batman's quoting Nietzsche in it, and it's it's really,
that's really
it's
cool.
heavy, and then it kind of wraps up very lightly, and I think it was just such a brilliant commentary on that idea
to see how it's gone from.
I think actually Kevin Smith did that. I think with Wiring Gyro, it starts off with him being the campy Batman with Little Boy Robin and stuff like that, and this first run, and then it goes into where they are at now, and is Nightwing, and then Batman's darker and stuff. So I thought that was kind of a cool twist because they even had those bad lines where like Robin jumps down, he's all like, "Check this out, Batman," and now he's all like, "Yeah, there's a murder."
There's a corpse over there.
Yeah.
So I think that's kind of funny where it's kind of cool with that because they're not really dismissing that Adam West Batman where it's like, yeah, Adam West Batman actually got a lot of people into Batman during that time period. But yeah, I mean, it is campy, but it is kind of like it's like a funny campy. Actually, that's actually Batman Brave and the Bold for me.
Yeah.
Like I
yeah,
go,
yeah.
if you take it as what it is, it's actually a really good show. Like it's just like the woman's all like, "You want to go out to dinner?" He's like, what was it? Evil doesn't take dinner breaks, and neither do I. And then he takes off. You're just like, okay.
Oh man. Yeah, I with the stuff I do, I always like when I'm at shows and stuff. I always start my pitch when people are like, "Oh, what's this about?" I'm like, remember when comics were fun?
Yeah,
Like, that's how I start my
Yeah, like
pitch.
when it
'cause
was
yeah.
a joy to pick up and like, oh boy, like it was okay. It was like a good escape because now it's like they're almost like so real that you're like, oh,
Yeah,
I'm trying
like-
to escape the
like I don't
murders
mind
and-
darker tone comics and stuff like that, but yeah, I remember where like you could pick up an issue of something and you just enjoy it. It was just a good run, and like now people are just really like people like some people still dismiss like the campiness of like certain things. They'll be like, oh, like especially like with like the Michael Keaton Batman. When it first came out, it was a pretty dark Batman. It
Yeah.
wasn't like Christopher Nolan's Batman, but now people watch the Christopher Nolan and be like, oh, Michael Keaton's Batman was shit. It's all
Yeah.
like, well, not really. I mean, you got to look at the time period and stuff. So.
Yeah.
So what invited you to want to start going to the cons and start really promoting? And like, what about you wanted to have you start running a con and really said, I really want to take this over and really grow and grow and grow it?
Well, for me, it's I don't do a lot of cons a year. I do about 3 or 4 a year, and I usually do the same 3 or 4 a year just because I have an idea of how you're treated at them and whatever. But even the cons that I love, there's certain things about cons I can't stand, and one of them is all the media guests, all the everything that has nothing to do with comics.
Right. Well, they're just there to make like a news story. They're not there to actually like report.
No,
on
I'm talking
them.
more like the movie stars and TV stars.
Oh, okay. Even
not,
better.
Not like news media, or I'm talking about like.
I was about to say, I'm like, I
Yeah.
probably should tell him I got a media pass.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
no, I'm talking about like a con that promotes where the comic guests are promoted third behind
The actual,
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
and it makes sense. I understand the business of it. If it was, they wouldn't be getting 60,000 people through the door if they did not have people from the Walking Dead TV show there.
But maybe make it like Sunday as opposed to like the main event.
No, I mean, they could do whatever they want, really, and I understand it's a business and it's a good business for the people who own these cons. But for me, I wanted more like just creators, just something I would have liked when I was 15 or 16. I would have loved to go to a store and have 20 guys who all know what they're doing to just pick their brains and shoot the shit and talk to them. So that was the idea behind Acme was Phoenix. Portland has a huge collection of comic pros that's unprecedented. New York City has a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Phoenix actually has a ton. So the whole idea behind the Arizona Comic Mini Expo was let me get, first of all, my friends, but also these guys are really professional level. Pretty much everyone around the table has done something at a professional publisher, or in my mind, they're good enough too if they haven't yet. But I mean, we got Scott Collins, DC artist. Jay Photos has done coloring for every company. Hi-Fi Colors done coloring for every company. We got Boom, guys who've done work for Boom and Image and Dark Horse and Marvel, DC. Really some of the top guys in the Valley, who are all cool. I mean, everyone there, no one's a dick. Everyone's cool.
Yeah.
That's really the whole idea. Something I would have wanted when I was a kid. I didn't see that really at cons. I saw like the local guys getting pushed all together into one area.
Yeah, like in a corner.
Yeah,
or
like
something.
Go to a con,
Artist
it's like, oh,
Alley.
it's like there's the local dudes. We're gonna pass them, and we're gonna go to see a guest who came in from somewhere
and you have
else.
to pay to see them and all that.
So my idea was like, let's do it. The reason we do it on Free Comic Book Day is just logistics. We want to get as many people in the door as possible.
Yeah.
So let's do it on Free Comic Book Day, and kind of a throwback to when my friend Mike Malvey used to own Atomic Comics. He always had huge blowout Free Comic Book Day events.
Mm.
And so
Which we miss. Like we talk about Atomic all the time.
Yeah,
like, on all the networks.
so that's
and
what I
shows.
do with
It's like,
Samurai.
oh.
I mean, same location. Mike Banks of Samurai. Kind of stepped right into that role. He's an amazing retailer, and he basically lets me do whatever I want, and he just supplies the tables.
Nice.
And
Maybe a
and
long
the money.
box live show there.
Yeah, maybe. So yeah, I mean, we got some great. I'm going to take a minute to talk about the sponsors because without them,
Feel free.
Without,
Oh, yeah.
without them, it would just be people who live in Phoenix. really. But Bookman's is always a big supporter every year. Bookman's and Samurai are the two biggest supporters. Without them, I could never do it. And then this year we've got some great people stepping in. We got Acme Prints is a printer in Scottsdale. They're doing all of our all our print material.
Oh, nice.
Oh, cool.
Chiba Hut's giving us food.
Oh, nice.
Film Bar's going to let us set up there for a month with some original art and let us hang out there the night before Acme. National Comedy Theater Company in Mesa. They do live improv comedy. And Polsinelli Law Group. My friend Andrew Turk is a lawyer there.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
And Andrew is a huge comic book fan. And so
Even better.
they
Okay.
supported
Very
us
cool.
as well.
Actually, I don't know if you guys, maybe you guys probably should also talk to them too. Critical Care Comics.
If you guys are aware of them.
They actually take comics that get donated and they give those out to children's hospitals. So while they're getting like either their IVs or they're in their cancer and
treatments,
stuff,
they
have something to read and stuff. It's just a huge donation thing. So I know they're based out of Los Angeles, but there's one here now. Zeph actually, he's been on the show a couple of times. We actually talk about him on this one. But yeah, they do this huge like critical care comic thing. So that's actually probably another thing to actually work into because they would love probably local artists and probably even get some. We've been trying to get something together for like a charity event where like people auction off artwork, maybe to go for something or something like that. So
we do the. We also, on top of the Acme, I also run the local chapter, of the Phoenix Drink and Draw.
Oh, cool.
I like to be snobbish about it and be like the official chapter.
Right. Like everyone else has copied you. You are the official.
I kind of copied the dudes in L.A., but I got their blessing. I kind of know Dan Pinot.
But first in Arizona, though.
Yeah,
like
first
it's not
in Arizona. So we could do something like that where we have a drink and draw one night and all the work there would just give to this guy and he can sell it.
That'd be cool.
Sweet.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome.
That'd be cool. Yeah. But yeah,
Spread the
we're
word.
all about that kind of, just everybody promotion and stuff. It's funny because we've actually had guests come on the show or like ask me, be like, oh, do I have to pay to be on your show? I'm like, no. I'm like, you guys are passionate about something. I want you to guys come out, promote your stuff. We get people to
spread the
listen
word.
in, and hopefully more people are like, hey, I like their show, or these guys were great on the show, and then get you guys more like publicity and stuff like that. So I think it's great that you guys got a huge, just a bunch of events. Now, Phoenix Comic Con this year, I know, is in June. Will you two be at this place? You guys have booths? Are you guys doing any panels?
Yeah, I'll be in Artist Alley and I'll be doing a panel.
I'll be there. I don't know if I'm small press or Artist Alley, but I definitely have a table there.
Okay, very
great.
cool.
Well, and definitely once you guys get that info, like whatever number it is,
we'll
let us know.
we'll
We'll start
post it on the
promoting as
page.
well. And I guess Corey Walker, the guy who's done Invincible and stuff, did the logo. Like, how did you guys? How'd that come
every
about?
year we kind of want to have like a space theme. In the first 2 years, Scott Godlewski drew it, and then this year I wanted Corey to do it, and he agreed to do it.
And that was it. You just asked him, and he was like, "Sure," and just no problems. It was awesome.
That's
It's
really
kind of cool because Corey. I try not to geek out around him now that I've got to know him a little bit. But
it's hard to do.
He's one of my favorite artists. I really wish he did more work, but yeah, he did the mascot this year and it kicks ass.
Nice.
Oh, very cool.
Yeah, it looks
Very
slick.
cool.
Like I love it. I love the shirts too. You guys have coming out that people can pick up as well. Like it's got that logo right on front. And looks really slick. And again, that's May 3rd, 2014, Saturday. Obviously, you guys are going to be at the Film Bar the night before. Doing the drink and draw.
Yeah.
And obviously we'll put links up too. So if you guys don't know where that stuff is, you have no clue where to go.
You can find it on the webpage once the show drops and everything like that. So it was along with all your guys' links to promote all your good stuff.
Samurai and all those fun guys.
Yeah.
Let's see. What else we got? We got some other stuff I was going to ask you. TMNT trailer just dropped this Friday. Have you guys had a chance to see that?
Oh yeah, I checked it out.
Yeah, I saw it. And I
so before we jump into the actual trailer, let's ask them: are you guys fans of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles like comics?
That's the thing is like a lot of guys my age and a lot of my friends are huge into that. I am not.
Okay.
I really
like you just had missed, or you just were never like didn't like it.
It didn't really. I mean, I'd watch. I was a little old for the cartoon, I think. When it hit,
when it finally hit the
I wasn't
airwaves.
into. I was like a Marvel zombie when I was a kid, so
I
wasn't buying the black and white comics.
Gotcha.
So it didn't really do anything for me.
Yeah, I the first time I ever made it to a comic shop, like issue 2 of TMNT had dropped. So I remember, like I bought issue 2. Ones were just gone, but I think I got to borrow one to read it. So I read, the first dozen or so issues, and I was a fan of the comic, and then. And then the cartoon came out when I was like a sophomore in high school or something.
Okay.
So, wow. And I just remember watching the theme song start it and just being like, oh no, like this is not at all
the wave.
Be,
the wave just hits you like
disappointment.
Which is funny because I think the theme song was written by the guy who writes for The Big Bang Theory. like him and his buddy.
Are actually the writers of the show.
Yeah, like they came up with a song, but they didn't do anything with it. They didn't think it was going to be that huge, and that's like one of the number one songs. He's like, son of a bitch, no royalties. Yeah, well, I was young when it came out because it was like 1987, so I was probably like 3 or 4. So I was all about the cartoon show, and take it for what it is. I do like the new version of it on Nickelodeon right now. I know a lot of people are like, I don't like it, but I kind of like it because they took a lot of things from every aspect of Ninja Turtles and put it together. So you're kind of like, okay, this is kind of, at least you're not like just kind of disregarding things. And that's the biggest problem I think a lot of people are having with the new movie is I'm like, you have to look at every version of Ninja Turtles does have a different thing in it. Like they've tweaked something, they switched something around or something like that. Because apparently the original comic actually it was a tie-in also to Daredevil.
Yeah, it was. Because the goo that made them. Yeah, and it literally was a commentary on how dark comics had gotten. Like it was, they were making fun of how gritty. I mean, that's why their teeth are gritting in almost every panel. And so it's a weird kind of thing when something that's done as parody, people see that and think that you're being authentic. You know?
Yeah.
It's like the high-waisted jeans, you know, like hipsters start wearing them and they're like, look at these fucking jeans. And then people slightly younger than that are like, oh, those high-waisted jeans look cool. Now they're wearing them, you know, unironically.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And now we've got, you know, people looking like the 90s walking around.
Yeah.
So
it's like, hey, 90s, Seattle's want their...
what their
it wasn't a good
back.
look. You know, rompers weren't a good look in the 90s, and they're not a good look now. Yeah.
So if you guys seen the trailer, so what are your first opinions of this?
It looks like a Michael Bay movie.
Yeah,
that is true.
Yeah, that is true.
It's a lot of shit blowing up. Honestly, I just at this point with the Turtles, they're just not for me. Like I saw it, and I'm just kind of like meh. You know?
Yeah, not really.
If my son wants to see it, I might take him, or I might just give him money to go see it.
Yeah,
that's fine too.
That's what I do as my kids get older. It's like, I'm not going to go see this.
Right, not with you. Yeah,
That's actually a good thing. When they're really little, you're like, oh, I gotta take it to this. But now it's all like, wait, you're what, 13? You're good. Go.
Yeah, get out of here.
Yeah, but even my kids, I don't think. I mean, not that they've talked about it, but I don't even think that's for my kids. Like, I don't even think my teenagers would be into it. You know.
I think it's for the people who didn't get the irony of the first comic book, you know.
Yeah. I've been noticing that too. A lot of the comments on there, people are like, "Oh, this looks great," and I'm like, "How can it look great? Like, how do you?"
Well, a lot of people are like meh, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, this looks awesome." And to me, I think it's just I have this whole backlash with it. Like, I saw the trailer, and I'm still kind of up in the air. I'm like, they're keeping some stuff that I like, and I'm like, regardless, I'm gonna have to see this movie because everyone's been like, you've been bitching about Michael Bay for like your entire span of the podcasting, so you need to see the movie and let us know what you're gonna see, Steve. So, but like you see the trailer, it's like I'm like Leonardo looks pretty good. I mean, the turtles are huge now, so it's like okay, so it's basically I think they just removed Transformers and put turtles in now. But it's just kind of like it's only like 1 minute and 30 seconds, so it's like you really have nothing to go off of. But I just think when the script was first released, where he's all like, "Oh, they're going to be aliens. They're going to be trained by Casey Jones. He doesn't tell them apart. He's just going to give them bandanas." So I'm like, so Casey Jones is a racist with aliens? He can't tell them apart? I'm like, okay.
I think that's a specious, to be
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah,
Exactly. Not a racist.
Yeah, so species inclined.
And then I'm like, what about Splinter? Is he going to be in the movie? If they're being trained by this guy? I'm like, it's just like, there's so much stuff that happened with this movie that was just like, okay. And then they finally released the trailer, and then it's like, well, you really didn't show us that much. You showed us a little bit, kind of got us like, oh, okay. But now it's like, it's not like the first Transformer trailer when you finally released that and we're like, holy crap, this could actually be good. And then you did 2 more and we're like, what the fuck?
Well, what about like movies and stuff too? I know obviously like heroes movies seem to be kind of like the Hollywood go-to now. Like whenever they want to make like billions of dollars over the summer, they always try to pick a hero movie. Yeah. Do you guys get as jazzed about that, seeing some of these heroes come to the screen, or are you more like still more traditional and you love just like, I'd rather pick up a book and read that as opposed to going to see like a 2-hour film about a character?
For me, I just realized they're two different things, and so the movie is not gonna be as cool as I think it should be, because it's never. There's always constraints on things that there's never a constraint on a comic.
Yes.
Like I always tell people, they're like, "Oh, what kind of comic do you want to draw?" I was like, "I want to draw a dude getting punched through a fucking mountain." Like that's why I want. Like that's why I would like to do a Hulk one shot, and all he does, all it is like him and the Abomination punching each other.
And just like the mountains, like
because there's no budget, I could do whatever the hell I want.
Yeah, they don't need to be like, oh wait, well we now have.
And so even like. Like on a rewatch, the first Captain America to me, I was just talking to a guy about this last night, but there's a scene where he like jumps a motorcycle over like off a dirt ramp, and I'm like, that's fucking lame. Like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So the Avengers kind of got it right. although there's two sides of that. Like the wanton destruction of an entire city kind of freaks me out. Like, oh, that's not really a great message.
Right, like
Like
stay in school,
Man of
kids.
Steel.
Yeah,
Like Man of Steel, there was never even a line in there that said like, let's evacuate the city.
right. Like get the people out of here.
Like
I'll try to hold them off.
80,000 people would have fucking died in that thing. And
That's
at
right.
the end, he's like kissing Lois, and I'm like, this is bullshit.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
People are
Corpses,
outraged because he
yeah.
snapped Zod's neck. Maybe they should be outraged at the 80,000 people that are dead.
And that's the weird part too. It was such an easy line they could have done. They could have just been like,
That's
"Oh,
exactly-
Yeah,
just have an
evacuations are on the way or something,
You know,
yeah.
people are, we evacuated like 10,000 people already. We're still doing it. Like,
Yeah.
just a simple line, but they're like, fuck it.
Well, see, in the Avengers, they at least made that line.
Right, they try to
we're
get
getting
people out.
Yeah.
Yeah, get the people out of here.
That's
block
all it
up
takes.
the,
But that's
yeah.
what I want to see for my superhero movies. Honestly, I do want to see more of like the Hulk just going ape shit. And
Yeah,
Yeah.
just throwing people through stuff and
No, I agree on that. But yeah, I look at it that way too, because a lot of comic book fans always get angry at the movies. Like, it's nothing like the comic book. I'm like, so you're telling me if you go see the Avengers and they just took a comic of the Avengers and just put it, you already knew it was going to happen. You already knew everything was. There was no excitement. I'm like, they're going to be two different things. To me, I look at movies now. I'm like, if I go into a movie and it entertained me, it did its job. You know, I'm not going to sit there and nitpick at everything, and just, because then you're just miserable. Because that happened.
Yeah, 'cause that happens a
That happened
lot.
to me with Spider-Man 3. Because like I love Spider-Man and everything like that. And then Spider-Man 3, I was like, oh, this is going to be awesome. And then you just watch it, it's like, what the fuck?
Mike
happened?
Malvey took us out to see Superman 3 before a free comic book day. So I think like maybe Scotty Young was out and some other people were out, and we all went, and Mike paid for it, and we all went to see it. And it's the only movie I ever wanted to walk out of that I got to see for free. Like it was,
Oh yeah.
I could not. All I was like, I just want to go to the bar. This
like
is
let's just
miserable.
drink about how bad this movie was.
Yeah.
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 Awesome.
So what about you? Any exciting movies that you're like, oh, this could be a cool iteration?
I think the new Captain America looks like it's going to be
it does look
good.
good.
So I'm on board for that.
Okay, cool.
And then what else is coming out this year? I mean,
I know we got X-Men: Days of Future Past.
yeah, I think they did a good job with First Class. I liked it a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah,
I liked
surprisingly,
I'm a little worried about the cast expansion. You know, I think you get a lot of characters. It's hard to instill a lot of motivation, but I think Fox has done a decent job with that, better than DC. I think a lot of it too is I think some heroes just aren't meant to be fleshed out and like realized in like 3 dimensions and stuff. Like I always say, like as an artist, my job is to abbreviate reality, not to reflect it. You know,
Right, okay.
So at some point, it just looks like a cosplayer. You know,
Gotcha, okay, yeah.
So I like the idea of Superman because there's not much there, because there's just enough to say this is a guy who can fly and here's these elements. When I can see every seam and the texture of his costume, I'm like, that's a guy in a suit that a computer's making fly, you know, and so the suspension of disbelief is easier when there's less there, which is also why I love comics. And I like the idea of heroes, and I like heroes as an idea, which is why my book is about luchadors, because luchadors don't have alternate identities. Like they don't
That's
have
who they
alter
are,
egos.
yeah.
They are the mask. Without them, I mean, even in real life, like the actual guys who do that, the kayfabe on Lucha Libre just extends on into their lives. They go
Right.
to public
Everywhere,
events,
yeah.
with their mask,
with their
on.
like in
'Cause it's
suits
their
and stuff
identity.
like that,
because
which
the
is
guy
awesome, I
outside
think,
the mask is nothing. And
Yeah,
so-
he's just like,
and
whatever.
I love the idea of heroes, and I love the characters of someone like Spider-Man and his motivations, and Batman, and even Superman to a degree. But I think that in an effort to flesh them out in movies, I think, or make them marketable and appealing, I think they do a huge disservice by limiting the possibilities of what they could be. So if you give someone like Wolverine no backstory, and he's just this killing machine who's obviously built just to kill. I mean, he's got blades for fingers, and it's
right.
like, that whole thing. Once that's just like, he's the idea of a force of nature, that immutable force of death in nature, and I like that idea. When I find out who he was as a kid and what he's interested in, and what makes him sad,
you're
and now it's just a fucking guy. You know?
Yeah, now he's just a person. Yeah,
Wolverine's
he's
a pussy.
not
So I do. And
we heard
Wolverine,
it here.
I
Wolverine,
gotta
you're
say,
a pussy.
Wolverine's been a pussy for a long
That's
time.
true, though.
I
Yeah.
picked up that book where he's like running a school now, and he's like caring about kids.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah, and I'm just like, I just want to see, and that's just like what Ryan's talking about. Like I want to see shit I can't see in real life. Like I can't stand when I pick up an X-Men comic and it's like 22 pages of guys having conversations of just talking heads. I'm like, I got conversations at work every day.
Yeah.
What I don't have is dudes with blades coming out of their hands,
Yeah.
and
Like
a guy who
punching
shoots
another guy,
lasers out of his fucking eyes. And I want to see the laser eye guy blow some shit up.
Yeah.
That's because they can. And I don't need to see that his suit is really well drawn and well rendered, and that the background looks like, like every little detail's there. Like I like the idea of them, And I think that movies tend to pollute the idea. I think Marvel's done a good job of keeping it keeping it cohesive. Like they give you enough motivation.
Yeah.
They sum up Captain America where he's like he's talking about how he doesn't like bullies. You know what I mean? Like that's a great thing to lesson to learn. Like this guy was weak, he's now strong. The thing he got from being weak was that he doesn't like people
yeah, I actually really
who pick on
thought that
somebody
was a
else.
really
Yeah.
good like delivery. It's like, why you want to kill Nazis? He's like, I don't want to kill Nazis. I just don't like bullies. And right when he said that, I was like, they really nailed the Steve Rogers character in this.
Yeah, but then you get like something like Man of Steel, the turd that is, and you're like, nobody's motivation is really clear. Like, why wouldn't Clark want to do everything he could to help people? Why would he not help his dad?
Exactly.
Why would Zod want to terraform Earth when he can be a god on Earth? Like, oh no, we're gonna make it just like the planet where we're just normal people.
Yeah, it's just,
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I get that's the thing with it. Like, don't get me wrong, I like the action in Man of Steel because I was fine. Because I'll tell people, everyone's like, oh no, Superman Return was better. I'm like, Superman Return, that motherfucker doesn't throw a punch.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
rewatch that fucking piece.
He
of
drinks
shit.
punch. Like
Yeah.
that's all he does. Like,
But I'm like, but you sit there and you realize, going like, yeah, to me, I think it would have been a lot better if he's able to do all this stuff, and then it's like his father, dies of a heart attack, and it's like even with all this power, just like in the one comics series part.
Well, he actually murders
he-
his father
he
in the
couldn't-
original one too, because he's like, "Come on, Dad, I'll race you," and he takes like 2 steps, and then his dad's like, "Oh," and then dies. So it's like you killed your own father.
But yeah, but that gives him like even with all this power,
Right.
I still couldn't save him. Unlike that within the movie where it's like there's a tornado, it's like I can save you.
Yeah, I can.
Yeah,
easily
I could
save
totally
everyone.
be there. Yeah, I could
Yeah.
save this entire. It's just the news
I could
might
blow.
bother me.
Yeah,
you
I
know,
could
like,
blow
yeah.
out the tornado.
I
if
can
I
take
wanted.
care of
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
So
I think
I'm good.
motivation is key, and I think that hero, like that kind of mythos, like comics being like modern American mythos, I think is a powerful thing. So I tend to stick to comics more than I like. I like the movie versions of them sometimes, but for me, like they tend to live on comics, and I think that move for comics to get more cinematic has been kind of disappointing.
Yeah,
and I think that things like Hawkeye can do it well, even though they're kind of ground level and not telling these like super stories, they're doing it in a compelling way that can only be done in comics, like the Pizza Dog issue. You can't film that,
Right,
and then I also think things like Daredevil are great, and they're just they're easy to digest, they're clear cut motivation. It's like one story done in 22 pages, so
Yeah, done.
it's kind of what I've always preferred is just is paring it down. I think more than anything,
Yeah.
I think the compulsion to put more
There's
in.
nothing wrong with the motivation being something's right and something's wrong.
Yeah.
Why do you have to overthink? Every
Yeah, like
little
why is it
detail?
wrong? And could
Yeah.
it be right?
I don't
yeah.
need. I don't need to know the backstory of the dude who's the villain because that's not important. The point is he's a
He's a
villain.
bad- he's
and
a bad
doing
guy.
something bad. Someone needs to stop him. That's all the motivation I need, and then I need some good art.
Yeah,
I think
snappy
a lot of
dialogue.
comics have become look what I did there. See what I did there? I mean, like literally, that's like
Yeah.
Loeb writes comics that way. I'm sure when he's writing his comics out and he makes some callback to something that happened in the 40s, he's like, yeah, you see what I did there?
Yeah.
And there's so much of this like
Wink,
just,
wink, nudge, nudge.
process flexing that goes on where it's like, look how I can weave this into continuity, and you didn't see how this was there the
Yeah.
whole time. And I'm like, how about you focus first on telling a compelling story and then worry about the details,
Yeah.
and it can all be undone tomorrow,
Yeah, and it's all about when you pitch comics. It's what they always want. What's the hook? What's the hook?
Yeah.
Well, the hook is that it's going to be well drawn and well written.
And well written, a good story.
And they're
you
like,
know,
but what's the hook?
like
Like,
there's
it's a transvestite. There's the fucking
Yeah.
hook.
Yeah.
it's a
they're-
werewolf
they're-
transvestite who works at a deli.
Well,
like,
yeah,
all right, got it.
I think these big companies are about
Sold.
controlling the
I like
news
it,
cycle.
but let's make it a Dunkin' Donuts and we're fine.
Even better.
Yeah, they always got to have some note.
Yeah,
too.
there's
They got to
some, like-
contribute to some part. What if he doesn't fly? What if he crawls really fast?
Yeah, but that's the whole point. He's called Flyman. Like,
Yeah,
nope.
yeah.
No, he's
flying.
now baby crawling guy.
Yeah. Which is why I do my own comic and
Perfect,
Like
yeah.
I don't. I
You're
have
the
no-
boss. You can do.
And I can
everything
do whatever I want, but I
Yeah.
give myself rules. Like that's the thing too. Is I think a lot of people, they see this Wild Beyonder, and like someone at DC, it's like, oh, we've got thousands of characters, and then we got to find a way to make them work. And I'm like, no, just how about you just focus on 3 or 4?
Yeah, exactly.
And do
Pick
that
the
and
ones
tell a
and-
compelling story. And so. Even though like there is a world of like luchadors in my comic, it's like I'm telling the story of this guy. It's a very simple world in lucha libre. There's bad guys and there's good guys. There's rudos and technicos. You know what I mean? It's like you're going for the belt. There's one goal. I mean, there's
Right.
the motivation is so clear cut and
And I
simple.
love his motivation too, where like you said, like his identity. If you haven't, I don't want to spoil anything, but definitely check it out. I watched
Spoilers.
Well, there's you can read it on his page and everything. You read some of his work, and like the story is so compelling because it's like you said, it's their identity. And imagine like if yourself, like if all of a sudden like someone stole your identity, it was like running off and like doing whatever with yourself. Like you're like, well, I have to create myself again, and like that whole like process of
Yeah, I
like,
like
oh,
that idea. I thought
you know,
that was really
so
cool.
and it's beautifully drawn. Like I love the action in it. I love the because we grew up watching wrestling. We knew about like Rey Mysterio. Like, that was one of his like that's kind of I think where most of the world unless you were raised in luchador,
Yeah.
like really kind of got like, oh, okay, so that's what it's about, and they kind of jazzed it up for WWF and all that too. But you kind of got the idea of like, yeah, you got the idea of what it was. So to see it like so well drawn and so like compelling is like, oh wow, like it's so cool because it's like it ties it all in together. So definitely liking it a lot.
No, yeah, and that's true and also with your own characters, it's like you said, you can write your own thing. But when you get someone else's character, it's really hard because then you're like, well, I think this is a really good storyline. I'm gonna draw it this way, but then you get all the backlash of fans going like, okay. Like people get pissed off of like it's like, oh, you gave like Spider-Man like with the Sam Raimi movie, like they were all pissed off that he could actually shoot webbing and wasn't a thing. And I'm like, to me, I was like, I'm a hardcore Spider-Man fan. I would like to see him design it, but then I'm also, but you got a lot of people jumping into this not knowing who Spider-Man is, and to have to sit down and explain he's a scientist, he's really smart. It's like it was just like an easy move, just be like, just make him shoot webbing.
Yeah.
And then it factored in the second movie, which was smart because then when he's losing his powers, he couldn't. And it's like, okay, you made it work. So so as soon as you start toying with somebody's like background, that's why it's great when you can just write your own thing.
Yeah,
and be like,
once you're tweaking the knobs to control mass appeal, it's like I'm a big proponent of do what you love, and then have that pull in the people who are fans of that.
Yeah, the draw and show, like you draw and you get it out there, and if you like it, you like it. You don't, you don't.
And the gravity of that will pull in kind of other people.
Because then other people who
a lot
like
like
it,
what Ryan does with Acme. It's like he's focusing on the thing. Drawing comics is a solitary deal. Like we hunch over an artboard for 18 hours at a clip,
right?
And then reading comics is kind of solitary.
Yeah.
And so that interaction that can happen is just fantastic. It's like it's such a weird like putting it out into the void, and then you see sales numbers or whatever. But to like actually talk to people about like just hearing people notice like the kind of chair I drew in a panel.
Right,
it's like,
yeah.
oh great, like I did research that and it was important to me that you have that kind of chair. I'm glad somebody picked up on it because it wasn't just like, oh, they just blew right past it.
I mean, I'm just as bad at that too. I'll read an entire comic in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking like, well, I know how long it took that dude to draw that shit.
Yeah,
like,
and you're like, damn,
I'm just as bad.
Yeah. So being able to interact, I mean, that's what initially drawn me to cons. And when I go to cons, I only talk to like other artists and I talk to editors, and so just the networking with like people who understand kind of the thing I'm passionate about, and then having to weed through cosplayers and TV stars and all this other bullshit, or the line for Twilight, it's kind of bullshit. So I like that Ryan's doing this thing where, I mean, that's what really drew me to participate, is that it's just comics. There's no cosplayer. There's no TV stars. It's just the people who do the thing and the people who appreciate the thing, and the interaction that they can have and see and have discussions without having to be distracted by video games or Hollywood release. I was going to say, and I think the gravity of that, like the passion for that is kind of is pure enough that it pulls in other people who would want to see like what the core fundamentals are, rather than putting out this broad appeal thing where we get like a movie star,
like brand,
exactly, that pulls in a casual observer who's never really gonna feel the connection with an artist and stuff. So if you see people being enthusiastic about a thing, it'll pull in other people and they can appreciate the enthusiasm, rather than just having people saying, oh, here's a crowd, I want to see what this crowd is about. Exactly. It never really it's too big to sustain itself. It's not a solid enough base. So
yeah, and I kind of look at Acme almost as if I'm like curating a show. Like it's everybody's handpicked there. I get emails every year. People, oh, how do I buy like a thing? Well, we don't really have.
It's not like
you can't buy space.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that's not to say like I'm not gonna go out
opposed
on a high horse.
to it, but
I'm not gonna go on a high horse and be like, oh no, like of course I would like to make a profit from doing it.
Yeah.
Because I spend a lot of time on the graphic design side of it and a lot of time emailing. There's a lot of hours invested in it, so it's not like I'm opposed.
To making
I'm
it
not
turn into
opposed
something,
to selling out. I mean, if I would sell out as long as it didn't go against
Stanley is
going to
be here for 1 hour only.
Yeah,
you
as long as it didn't go against
$3,000.
my own core values. I'm not against turning a profit.
Right.
But I mean, I'm also not going to sell boosts to someone who makes jewelry.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah,
or cosplay.
That's not what I want. I actually actively am against that, and that's why I have great partners in Bookmans and Samurai. They understand that.
Yeah,
it's an art event inside, enveloped by a comic book event in Free Comic Book Day. But to me, Acme is an art event.
Mm-hmm.
I want people to come and flip through portfolios. I want
see
strike up conversations,
conversations, and be like, oh man, that's a really great cast shadow you drew there.
Like
holy shit. Well, when I was doing that, I was thinking this. Yeah. That's what I want it to be about. Is celebrate the creators who put a lot of work in there, because when you're looking at that page and you read it, it takes you 22 seconds to read that page. It took that guy
a day,
8 to 10 to 12 hours to draw that
really
page.
get that page down.
Well, that's what I felt like. I used to do web comics, And that's the same thing. Like you'd work on them, it'd take you like maybe an hour, 2 hours, redrawing it, inking it, digital, and then it's like you just realize it's like you got your gag, you thought of it, this is great, goes up on the web page, people spend 5 seconds.
Yeah,
That was good,
yeah,
and
that
then
was
they
funny.
move on,
Yeah.
and then you're just all like, ugh.
I think the sick thing is I'm okay with that trade-off. Like, I'm okay spending 2 months on something
just
that
to get...
someone will take 10 minutes to blow through, but the cool thing is just interacting with the people after the fact and like discussing it, and the cool thing about Acme too is like talking with other artists where we just discuss like process and stuff. Like I love that's the part of conventions I really like is just talking about like what kind of brushes you use, what paper you're using,
right?
How you get that.
Where do you start?
That's the whole thing
your...
with sort of the drink and draw, and even the thing we're gonna do at Film Bar the night before. It's not a oh hey come look at us, we're fucking awesome. It's basically an excuse to get 20 of my friends in a room together around a table so we can all talk shop.
Yeah,
nice.
That's really.
And you guys can come and enjoy like what we do as opposed to
like last year we did one and it turned into Eric Larson and Eric Canetti and a bunch of guys drawing at a table, and then Todd McFarlane shows up and starts hanging out with Eric Larson, and they're drawing together.
Wow.
And it's not like there's like, it's not like people are like, oh man, remember when you did Spider-Man, whatever? Everyone's like, holy shit, look at how he inked that line.
Yeah, like Jesus.
Oh, I didn't know you could move the quill that way and get like that line weight and
Yes.
shit. That's what was cool. And it's, even though a lot of us my age are like, holy shit, that's Todd McFarlane and Eric Larson.
Yeah,
working
hanging
on the
out.
same
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
And that image turned into a cover. Eric used it for a cover.
I saw that.
That's awesome.
That was great. Todd told me didn't have enough lines on it. He's like, there's not enough lines on there. He's like,
Yeah.
It's like,
And then like Eric Larson's like, I already inked that. Like it was a fully finished inked drawing, and then Todd just added to it for like an
That's
hour.
funny, yeah.
I kind of like that too. That like kind of competitiveness almost also where it's like they play off each other.
Doing that. Actually, I was listening to because one of the podcasts on our network, straight out of Austin, they were talking about that too with like the cons and stuff like that. They're like, yeah, I remember going back in the day with those cons, and it was just comics, and it was just the appreciation. Now it's just blown off to this huge and I understand that Hollywood wants to make money, but now it's more about like people going there and not really like they'll like I was excited when they started announcing like the artists and like people like for Comic-Con. I was like, oh, these are people I want to see and stuff. But then it's like also it's like Nathan Fillion. I'm like, yeah, Nathan Fillion's a good actor.
He'll be a good
like
draw,
that.
but I was like more
I
excited
think
about.
What's kind of missed in cons nowadays too, as they get bigger, is guys like me and Jason that go to cons. It's a business. It's a business. It's work. Most people don't go and sit behind a table for 8 hours throughout a whole weekend.
Mm-hmm. Right, just for kicks.
Just for kicks. It's work, and I like the fandom. I like seeing people excited about it, but it is work. And when you have conventions that are so movie star heavy and so cosplay heavy, people aren't spending money. They're spending $60 to get into the convention, and then they're spending $10 a day to park, and they're spending $20 a day to eat.
Yeah.
So
where you'd rather get them there.
The bigger the convention, the less the people have in their hands.
Right.
That aren't free. Last month I did a Staple in Austin, and it's a convention not much bigger than Acme. They had like 60 tables.
Actually, I think they were talking about that.
And per capita, that was my most profitable convention because those dudes are there to support the artist. There's no cosplayers.
Yes.
Right.
There's
It's just
no
come
movie
in, do
stars.
your thing.
Yeah, and a low cover is like a $10 to get in.
Perfect,
Or something like that.
Probably just to cover the event
The way
itself,
I see cons is as I do more recognizable work, like as I do work at Dark Horse, even if it's a little job at Dark Horse or a little job at Image, I'm not my sales are not increasing at conventions. They're going down because people just don't have the money.
Yeah.
It's an economically depressed time right now, and you're charging these people an arm and a leg to get in. And they just they're not buying anything.
Yeah.
And I notice that every year people walking at the con empty-handed. And I'll see them on Friday and Saturday and Sunday, and by Sunday they're still empty-handed.
Yeah, and it's just like...
And it sucks too because there's like a lot of great artists out there because I'll see that. Like I'll walk by the artist booth, I'm like, oh, I really like that. I like, stuff, and it's just all like, well, I wish I could buy this and stuff. And it's like you want to help support these people, but it's like, well, they parking already took all my money, so
right.
Nice to meet you.
Yeah, thanks so much. Well, that's what surprised me too, because like I think it was the last year Mike Mignola was there.
I kept
And,
missing him.
I couldn't
was
believe
so
how like no one was there. Like no one like went up to him and was like, "Hi, like I'm a huge fan." And I kind of asked him because he was kind of like tucked away in the middle
Yeah.
between a couple other people, and I was like, "How do people not know you're right here? Like how's there not like a line of people wanting to come talk to you?" He goes, "Well, they come and go. They're in waves. There's a lot of things." And he had kind of said the same thing because there's so many other things going on
Yeah.
that
Well,
you're
there's
trying to get to that it's hard to like.
Yeah, there's a lot of I think there's a lot of science that goes into how to run cons and how to make it so everyone's successful. Emerald City does a great job doing that.
What's going on right now? Isn't
Yeah,
it? This
it's
week?
yeah,
It's the first year I haven't been there in like 7 years.
Oh, really? Yeah.
You chose to come
Actually,
here
I think
instead.
Our buddy TJ, he
just
does-
went. Yeah, he's up
he's
there.
there now. He was actually on the Penny Arcade strip search. He does Stranger Danger and just released the
Tenko King. Yeah.
Tenko King. But yeah, he's over there doing that. And then
Yeah.
also Annabelle, she was on our show, Socially
Yeah,
Awkward. She
Martinez,
was
yeah.
over
Oh, yeah,
there.
no, Annabelle.
Yeah, she does good work. I
Oh,
I
yeah,
got her
really.
Samus piece that she did on a
Yeah.
on a poster. I think I have one of hers done. And that was awesome. Like, and then it was great too because like she was smart enough that she actually had bags for like pieces.
Yeah.
So that like if you went to her and bought a bag as well as the art, like you actually could then walk around.
Yeah, that's
and, like,
the
get
only
other
big thing
people's.
I had a problem with. It's like I want to buy this stuff, but sometimes I'm like, I'll have to come back when I'm leaving because I don't want to carry this around and damage it.
Yeah, I
So-
think I think as exhibitors, I think and I think another cool thing about like a drink and draw is that we talk about like tricks of just conventioning.
Yeah.
It's like make sure you've got sleeves on hand for your prints because
Right.
you don't want people to have them dinged up and then they've got like because in as much as people are buying stuff from you, they're also buying a story.
Right.
You know
yeah.
what I mean?
Like,
Like,
I
that's
met
why
this
I
person.
sketch for free, like at conventions. I'm like, I'll do little doodles. I'll do little doodles for free because like they chances are while I'm sitting there doodling, they'll buy something
Right.
else and they'll be like, and then they've got this hand done thing. Like everything I do, a lot of or most of it is hand done. Like I hand silk screen my prints.
Oh,
and then
nice.
there's limited editions, and then so people know that like I handled
Like
the thing.
that was you doing
yeah,
it. It
and there's
wasn't just
limited.
like you
and then when I
sent
say
it in.
limited editions, I never do anything more than 100.
Right.
I think I've done. No, yeah, that's it. Oh no, 100.
Yeah,
is
there's
where I
only
talk
like 10,000.
yeah, yeah, and there,
it's like,
so you know that there's only X amount of these, and I'm not secretly printing more of them.
yeah, like on a
and
factory
stuff
somewhere.
like that. So if you give people a more compelling narrative, because there's stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
And I've got stuff, but I've got stuff with a story.
Right,
Like,
as
this
opposed
is-
to
this
just
is
like
something
you could
where
buy
like I hand inked the negs on these screens. Like I actually burned them myself and then put them all down. So this is all my work, and I didn't just hit print 10 times. Like I printed them 10
Yeah.
times. And then when people buy that and they hang it up in their house, they get to tell the story. They're
Yeah,
like,
like,
this
by the
guy-
way, yeah.
there's only 10 of these. This guy did this by hand. This is on metallic paper. Like you can't get that done commercially on a
Right.
print. So just little things that you can't do. Or that require a little bit more effort. The more compelling a narrative that you give, the better chance you have of somebody wanting to get your stuff. Because otherwise, it's just stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
Everybody's got printouts and stuff, and so with the comics, they're pretty mass produced. But if you buy it from me, I sketch in it for you.
Right,
So,
exactly. I'll
there-
sign it
there's
and
a
sketch
story,
in it.
So and trading tricks like that, I think, is a great thing of convening like that. So I don't know where the hell I was going with that point before that. But.
I think you're talking.
Basically, buy shit.
Well, no, I
From
mean,
artists.
I think
Well, yeah.
but those are the kind of things that you can't get. You don't hear those stories if you're not at a convention.
Yeah, because
You
a lot
know
of
what I
times
mean?
people go to con and I say I bought this figure or this or that, and it's like,
Yeah.
well, big deal.
You
could
could have bought it on Amazon, yeah, or
you
off
could have
of
gone
eBay,
anywhere.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what I've noticed. There's some people who will buy things. It's like you get this on Amazon, you get this there, you get this there. But when you buy these like prints that people draw, it's like you can't get them anywhere.
Or you went and
else.
specifically said, I commissioned you to like do
Yeah.
this for me. It's
Yeah,
like
it's
that's
it's,
like you
I
said, a
think
bond.
that's a kind of a cool.
Yeah, that's really. I mean, I don't have all the answers, and I don't blame people for spending their money at someone else's booth. Everyone's got a limited income or whatever. One thing I don't really understand is the one thing you can get at a con you can't get anywhere else is a original piece of artwork, and it dumbfounds me that people just don't sell gangbusters of original art at cons. I've never understood that.
Yeah.
I've even had people like look through, and some of my originals I sell pretty cheap. They'll come through. Oh, like, how much is that? I'll be like, oh, it's only $50. I've had it for years, like whatever. And then they're like, oh, well, I'll just buy like 2 of these prints, and that adds up to like $40.
Yeah, so it's like $10 more. You could have the original
$10
piece.
more.
Yeah.
You could, it's bizarre.
That's why I used to love about when Scotty Young was first getting out is he would take photos of the commissions he had done. So he'd advertise them on his like site, just saying like, look what we did, and he'd sell them. I think it was like $50-$100 at the time, whatever he was charging. But they were like masterpieces because he would do all kinds of like textures to the pages and like even the type of paper he was using with stuff. And that's why I liked is like even on his web you can still just commission him like, hey, I want you to do this and this, and all he'll do is he'll take a photo so you can show what he did, and then he just mails it to you like, here you go.
Yeah, Scotty. I was there like a San Diego Comic-Con like 4 or 5 years ago. He had a stack of original pages that were 30 each, I think, or maybe 25
wow.
each. Yeah, and you could just whatever. And there was some good shit in there. Like I saw people. He'd be like, "Oh, how about this one?" He's like, "Oh, I didn't realize I was in there." Yeah, it's 30, whatever. Like he wasn't
he
like
was just
adjusting
like, no
his
big
price.
deal.
He realized some really good shit was in there.
Well,
And was just like,
it all depends on the artist. Some people like I don't consider what I do. I mean, it's art, but I don't consider it like fine art. You know,
Right. It's not like a masterpiece.
I can buy 2 lunches with that because I got paid to draw that page already.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to give me more money so I can have a nice dinner tonight? I'll sell it for 30, 40, 50 bucks. Because otherwise I'm just lugging it around.
Yeah.
And then there's other guys that like I met an amazing artist at Emerald City last year who had like 3 or 4 portfolios of just like beautiful work. He doesn't sell any of his originals. Ever.
Really?
But they're just there so you can come up
He's
and be
just
like, oh, these are
archiving
nice.
them, he's having a personal archive and so it all depends, but
I don't sell my originals. I figure it's like my kids' kind of
Yeah.
legacy.
Oh,
He's
that's
like,
true.
I would sell those.
Oh, well, that's what just happened on the gentleman just passed away. Like his wife, the guys from Comic Book Men, his like cousin or nephew came in to like sell them some original works.
Yeah.
And I mean, they were just like redones of covers and stuff he had done. And basically, his widow was like, "Well, I have boxes and boxes of his work," so they auctioned it.
Yes.
And I like literally went for like $20,000-$30,000 of just like scraps of his that were just like hand drawn or painted.
Well,
and it was pretty
don't get
nuts
me
to
wrong.
be
I
like,
mean,
"Whoa, my goodness,"
If I did an issue of Spider-Man or something like that, then of course those originals, you charge what the market bears.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So something like that, I would maybe give a whole issue to my kids or put it in a safety deposit box.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's like when you're
But
ready.
I mean that's not the case so far.
Yeah, I also don't ink my work. I mean, I go from pencil and I digitally do.
Oh,
everything.
nice.
Yeah,
so everything's still pencil when they.
Yeah,
when
so
they go.
I just have pencils.
Oh, cool.
And pencils don't sell as well as ink.
I'm surprised
stuff,
because I love the pencils. Like I got all of like
Yeah,
a lot of
like-
Joe Mad's like pencil work. I
Oh,
love
okay,
his kind of
Yeah,
stuff.
that's really kind of cool though.
Because I kind of feel like when you ink over, I mean the ink is beautiful stuff too. But
Yeah,
it's like
it does
you
pop
lose
and-
that like
There's a little life
Yeah.
you lose, yeah, definitely.
because you can actually
So,
see like where they started to shade
Mhm.
and stuff. and you're
I
like,
think
oh.
anyone who inks their own work is always trying to capture the energy from,
Right, yeah,
which is
from
why
what
there's
they did.
professional inkers, which I could never be. I can do my own
No,
stuff.
those
and that's what I
very
like
nice.
about digital too, because then you can try different styles too when you're
Yeah,
inking.
yeah. I mean, I did a little bit of hand stuff in there. There's some actual scanned-in artwork, and I think in issue 4 there's a sequence I'm going to do where I actually brush ink everything.
Oh,
so
nice.
it's got like a lot of energy to it. It's almost a dream sequence ish. I don't know. No spoilers.
No
but-
spoilers.
yeah,
Spoilers.
But and I think the next thing I do, I'm going to hand in because this
Okay.
digital
Cool.
process actually has really slowed me down. when I'm on like page 15 of a comic and I'm like, why the fuck do I do it this way? Again?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah. And now I can't not do it because I've done it
Right, you have
for
to
the
keep
first 3
consistent.
issues.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
funny.
3 more issues and then it's
Back
all
to-
just going to be hand painted.
Nice.
Very cool.
Very cool. Well, I don't know. How we looking on time, Steve? We doing good? or-
Yeah, actually, I was thinking we're about an hour, so if you guys we could promote what's going on.
Yeah, everyone
and,
tell us where you're from. Just give a shout out as to where we can find you. Talk again one last time about Acme, and then I think we'll close this
we'll
down.
Close this down.
Yeah, everyone should just check out the Arizona Comic Mini Expo, the website. We got a merchandise page up there. Because there probably won't be. I'm trying to get people to pre-order because it's not like we're gonna have a merch table at the show. I'm not gonna carry 50 shirts. So if people want any of that awesome Cory Walker artwork in the print or in the shirt,
one of these.
they probably need to get it ahead of time. Some artists have donated some original artwork that's gonna go. Like I said, because it's not really a cheap endeavor. We got with Stuart and Catherine Immonen, amazing guests. They have to be flown out, hotel.
Oh, yeah.
We got a couple guests coming from California. Give them a little bit of money for their time and energy. So it's not a cheap thing. So we're still trying to, even though we got all of our sponsors in place, we're still trying to raise a little bit of money. But it's going to happen regardless.
Yeah.
So
What I love though is like, so if I pick it up in person, it's only 10, but I can have it shipped just for a couple bucks more. Like looks like $20 more if I
right,
want like
because
a
I'm
shirt.
getting a lot of people. Stuart Immonen does not do a lot of sketches. He does not sketch at conventions. So he's going to only do 4 or 5 commissions at Acme. All the money goes to Hero Initiative.
Okay, cool.
So we set it up with them. But I'm getting a lot of emails from people all over the country like, oh, we want to get in on this Stuart Immonen thing. And I'm like, so everything on the website has 2 prices because like, people are ordering shirts from North Carolina, South Carolina.
They just want,
So people want it. So I realized not everyone's going to be going there. So there's a shipping price and a pickup price.
Yeah, it looks great.
Acme is really the big thing. The night before we'll all be at the Film Bar in Phoenix on May 2nd. hanging out, and there'll be a bunch of originals displayed on the walls. And then my personal site is super75comics.wordpress.com. I'm pretty sure. I'm terrible at that.
Are you guys on Twitter or anything like that? Or?
Yeah, Twitter's Ryan Cody. Facebook is super75comics.
Yeah, it looks like that's the one.
Yeah.
We'll make
Draws
sure to follow,
comics,
Make
Ryan
sure to
Cody.
follow you guys on
Yeah.
Twitter.
Plus, yeah, we'll obviously promote too as well. We do like every week we send out like, hey, here's recent followers, and we'll put a banner on our site too for
Oh, cool.
the Acme, so we can make sure that everyone can go to it and find out all the info. How about you, Jay Gonzo?
Sorry, I'm sneezing.
Yeah. He's
oh,
like,
you're
I'm allergic
yeah,
to.
yeah. No,
Awesome.
so, yeah,
He's allergic to self-promotion.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, achoo!
I'll be at Acme, and I'll be at the Film Bar, Drink and Draw.
Nice.
Again with the Acme thing, I just want to say too that it's the most Arizona of Arizona comics events. I would say it's really kind of the cream of the crop. Like it's a group I'm really proud to be a part of. A lot of local things happen, and there's like one really good person, and then like a couple of like pretty cool, and then like a lot of meh. But this is probably the highest caliber of Arizona talent that you can find in one place ever. I mean, like other than like maybe Phoenix Con, but they're going to be a little spread out and a little
True, yeah. This
so,
is like very concise of like.
it's really that a pretty
very
good company
intimate.
to be in. I always feel honored when I'm looking down the row at guys like Tony Parker and Corey and dudes like that. So it's Armand's there. I mean, it's everyone who like is like a legit Arizona from Arizona and a legit comic artist. So I'll be there, and then personally you can go to castleandkeypublications.com, and that has links to my social media. So I'm on Twitter, and I have a Facebook page, and I don't know what either of those are. Or no, my Twitter is like @LamanoComic, which is kind of a lot to remember. So just go to my
Go to
website,
your website,
yeah,
click
link
the
over
link.
to my
Okay.
Twitter. Yeah, follow me. So
Definitely, we'll have to put all
We'll
that up
definitely
there.
post everything when the episode goes up on our website. So, but yeah, I want to thank you guys for coming on.
I know.
And if you guys enjoyed yourself and you want to come back on, you're welcome back anytime.
Anytime you guys have something to promote or you guys are in town,
Cool.
definitely
So
swing on by.
we love this. Actually, to be honest, you guys are the first guests we've had on Longbox.
On
Cast,
Longbox
so,
Cast.
Oh, nice.
Official.
Oh.
You
We're the official one. So
Pop
then,
the
then when
cherry.
you come back on, be like returning guests.
Yeah.
Right.
Inaugural guests.
yeah, exactly. Veterans. Well, Steve, it's going to close it out for you. Where can we find you at? today?
You can find me on pretty much every single show on the 4i Radio Network.
Pretty much. It's your
I
network.
keep making shows way too much. And then at Stephen Mooney Jr. on the Twitter. Also, don't forget, this is released afterwards, but hopefully I'll be doing more stand-up. And also follow me on at Stephen Mooney Jr. on Instagram, where I post some of my artwork as well there. And Kyle, you?
They can find us at Longboxcast and, of course, at www.longboxcast.com. And as always, I think that's going to wrap it. And enough said today. That was definitely a good show.
Forward.
Thank you guys so much
Thank
for coming
you.
out.
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for
Yeah, no
having us.
problem.
Had another sneeze and I blew my nose. I looked in the mirror at my pigeon chest. I had to put on my clothes because it made me depressed. Surely there must be a way for me to change the shape of me. Dissatisfied with what I am. I wanna be a
This has been another fine production of the 4i Radio Network. For more great shows, check out www.4iradio.com.